Welcome back, students. It is our next history class for standard 10. Now we are discussing about the various causes for the first war of Indian independence, 1857. We already discussed political causes, socio-religious causes and economic causes. And now we can discuss about the military causes and immediate cause of the revolt. And at the next we can discuss about the consequences or impacts of the revolt of 1857. Now it's time to discuss about the military causes of the revolt of 1857. Under this cause, there are so many subdivisions. They are ill treatment of Indian soldiers, General Service Enlistment Act, larger proportion of Indians in the British Army, bleak prospects of promotions, deprivation of allowances, faulty distribution of troops, poor performance of British troops, and lower salaries. Okay, we can discuss it one by one. First one, ill treatment of Indian soldiers. The English East India Company established the British Empire in India with the help of Indian soldiers. But despite the fact that the Indian soldiers were as efficient as their British counterparts, they were poorly paid, ill-fed and badly housed. Second one, General Service Enlistment Act. According to traditional belief, it was a taboo for the Brahmins to cross the seas. The British Parliament passed the General Service Enlistment Act in 1856. What was this act? As per this act, Indian soldiers could be sent overseas on duty. The act did not take into account the sentiment of the Indian soldiers. The Brahmin soldiers saw in this a danger to their caste. This led to a feeling of resentment among them. Then third point was larger proportion of Indians in the British Army. That means the number of British troops in India was never very large, with the British in the ratio as low as 1 in 4,000. That means the number of Indian soldiers were more than the number of British soldiers. Then the Indian soldiers could easily take up arms against the British. Then the fourth point, bleak prospects of promotions. All the higher ranks in the employment were reserved only for the British, irrespective of their performance. The Indian soldiers were given only ranks up to Subedar post. The future of the Indian soldiers was bleak without chances of promotions. They were given only lower ranks. Next point is deprivation of allowances. The extension of British dominion in India adversely affected the service conditions of the sepoys. That means the British Empire was very vast. So, the Indian soldiers or Indian sepoys were recruited to faraway places for their work without any extra payment and additional bata. So, Indian soldiers were not ready, or they were not willing to work in far off places. Sixth point, faulty distribution of troops. Places of strategic importance like Delhi and Allahabad had no British armies and were wholly held by the Indian soldiers. We already discussed that the number of British soldiers were less than Indian soldiers. So, in the strategic places like Delhi and Allahabad, there were no English soldiers in the British Army. Only Indian soldiers were there in these British armies. And besides, England was engaged in several wars outside India. And the Indian soldiers had the feeling that the British were in difficulty and that the safety of their Indian empire depended on them. So, they were therefore determined to strike at them at a suitable time. The next point is poor performance of British troops. The British troops or British soldiers were given higher ranks irrespective of their performance. They were not well prepared, they were not well trained, they were inexperienced, but they were given higher ranks. The British army suffered major reverses in some wars like First Afghan War, Punjab War and Crimean War. And even the Santhal tribal men of Bihar and Bengal had easily defeated the British army temporarily for a period. And this revealed the poor performance of the British troops. So the Indian soldiers could easily revolt against the British. And the last point is lower salaries that we already discussed in the first point. The Indian soldiers were given only poor salaries. The wages of the Indian soldiers were inadequate to support their families. On the other hand, the British soldiers received more than 8 times the salary of the Indian soldiers. This much is the military cost. And the next important incident or the next important cause was the immediate cause. We know that each and every incident is an immediate reason. And here in this first war of Indian independence had also an immediate cause. It was in January 1857, there spread a rumor in Bengal regiments that the greased cartridge, it was a greased cartridge, that means the Britishers already introduced a new Enfield rifle. That Enfield rifle had to load with a cartridge covered with greased paper. And there spread a rumor that the greased cartridge had the fat of cow or pig. Then how could it become an immediate cause? This cow is considered as the sacred animal of the Hindus, and pig is considered as it was a taboo. It is a taboo to the Muslims, or they considered this pig as haram. So the sepoys in the British troop, both Hindus and Muslim soldiers were there, and these sections, the Hindu soldiers and Muslim soldiers in the British troops, were not willing to use this greased cartridge, because before loading it, they had to bite it off. And because of this reason, Hindu soldiers refused to use this because they considered the cow as a sacred animal. And the Muslim soldiers refused to use this because they considered this pig as a taboo. And this incident was the immediate cause of the uprising. And now we discussed all the causes of the revolt of 1857. We can conclude it. Which were the important causes of the revolt of 1857? Political causes, socio-religious causes, economic causes, military causes. Okay students, now we discussed about all the causes of the revolt of 1857, and at the same time we discussed about the consequences of the first war of Indian independence. Okay.